Ethan Miller walked into a quiet cafe 3 days before Christmas, believing he was about to discuss a donation. Instead, 5 words from a stranger nearly brought him to his knees. What followed was not a love story, not at first, but a collision between grief, guilt, and a promise made beside a dying woman's hospital bed. A sealed letter waited for him, untouched for 2 years, carrying words powerful enough to either shatter him completely or pull him back to life. He almost walked away. If he had, everything that came after would have been lost forever. Ethan Miller had learned how to survive without breathing. That was the only way he could explain the last 2 years of his life. Every morning in Silver Lake, Michigan, began the same way. The alarm rang at 5:30 a.m. Ethan reached for it without opening his eyes, silencing the sound before it could wake his daughter. Lily slept curled on her side in the next room, one arm wrapped around the faded blue blanket her mother had bought the Christmas before she died. Claire had loved Christmas. Ethan avoided it like a wound. He moved through the kitchen on instinct, making toast, packing Lily's lunch, checking the clock every few minutes. When she padded in wearing mismatched socks, he smiled automatically, the practiced kind that didn't reach his eyes. "You ready for school, kiddo?" he asked. Lily nodded, chewing quietly. She used to talk nonstop. Now she watched him more than she spoke, as if studying something fragile. By 6:45 a.m., Ethan was in his truck, driving toward another renovation job on the edge of town. His construction company had survived because he never stopped working. If his hands were busy, his mind stayed quiet. If his mind stayed quiet, he didn't have to remember hospital beeps, whispered goodbyes, or the way Claire's fingers had gone cold in his palm. Work meant not feeling. Not feeling meant functioning. That was how Ethan Miller had lived for 730 days. Around noon, he sat in his truck eating a sandwich he couldn't taste when his phone rang. Rachel. He almost ignored it. Rachel had been his best friend since college. She had also been relentless lately, insisting that he needed to do something other than work and sleep. Ethan answered anyway. "Hey," he said. Her voice was too bright. "Do you remember Claire's idea about the scholarship fund?" His chest tightened. Of course he remembered. Claire had talked about it in hospice, her voice weak but determined, making him promise to help other kids someday. Kids who dreamed big but had nothing. "Yeah," he said quietly. "Well," Rachel continued, "I found someone who wants to help fund it. A big donor. She wants to meet you." Ethan leaned his head back against the seat. "Rachel, it's almost Christmas. Lily has her school thing. I've got deadlines." "It's just coffee," she said gently. 1 hour. Claire would want this." That name always ended the argument. "Fine," he said. "When and where?" "Tonight, 7, Harbor Cafe." Ethan hung up and stared at the windshield. Another obligation, another reminder. He told himself he'd go, smile politely, talk numbers, then come home and continue surviving. What he didn't know was that Rachel had made another call that afternoon. Julia Bennett sat in her car outside the hospice center, her hands resting on the steering wheel as exhaustion washed over her. 12 hours on her feet, 3 patients gone, 1 family screaming in the hallway. Her phone rang. "Julia, hey," Rachel said. "Remember how you said we should catch up sometime?" Julia frowned, searching her memory. "Sure. Coffee?" "Yes, actually. There's someone I want you to meet. Ethan Miller." The name landed like a dropped plate. Julia's body went still. Ethan Miller, Claire Miller's husband. "No," Julia said immediately. "I can't. I was his wife's nurse. There are boundaries." "I know," Rachel said softly, "but it's been 2 years. He has questions he's never asked anyone. You were there at the end." Julia closed her eyes. She saw Claire's face, pale but smiling, the night she made Julia promise. 2 years, Christmas week. Find him. "I don't think I'm ready," Julia whispered. "It's just coffee," Rachel said. "As a favor to me." Silence stretched. Finally, Julia exhaled. "Okay, but just coffee, nothing else." At 6:55 p.m., Ethan arrived at Harbor Cafe early, as always. He scanned the room for someone who looked like a donor. His eyes landed on a woman in scrubs, sitting alone in a corner booth. That must be her, he thought. He walked over and extended his hand. Natalie was what he expected to say, but she spoke first. "Ethan?" Her voice caught. "Hi." Something flickered across her face. Recognition. Pain. "Do I know you?" he asked. Julia swallowed. "Please sit." They exchanged awkward pleasantries until Ethan said, "So Rachel mentioned you're interested in Claire's scholarship fund." Julia blinked. "Scholarship fund?" His stomach dropped. "She told me you wanted to talk about Claire's final days." Julia said carefully. That you needed someone who was there. The words slammed into him. You knew Claire? Ethan said. Julia nodded. I was her hospice nurse. For 6 weeks. Ethan stood so fast his chair scraped loudly across the floor. Heads turned. The cafe seemed to shrink. This is a setup, he said sharply. Rachel tricked me. I didn't know, Julia said quickly, standing too. If I had, I never would have come. Ethan grabbed his jacket. He needed air, space, distance from everything tied to that name. He was halfway to the door when her voice stopped him. Ethan, wait. He froze. Claire asked me to find you. His hand stayed on the door handle. What are you talking about? He said without turning around. Julia's voice trembled, but she didn't stop. Before she passed, she made me promise something. She said, 2 years from now, during Christmas week, find Ethan and tell him this. Ethan turned slowly. The cafe had gone quiet. Strangers watched, sensing something fragile unfolding. She knew you'd shut down, Julia continued. She knew you'd stop living, and she didn't want that. Ethan's vision blurred. She planned this? Julia nodded, tears spilling freely now. She loved you so much. She reached into her bag and pulled out a worn envelope. Ethan recognized the handwriting instantly. His name. His knees almost gave out. She gave this to me the night before she died, Julia said. Made me promise not to open it, to give it to you exactly 2 years later. Ethan sat down hard. I can't read that here, he whispered. You don't have to, Julia said. But there's something she made me memorize. Words meant for this moment. And he looked up at her, eyes red, chest shaking. Tell me. Julia took a breath. She said, tell Ethan I'm not gone. I'm in every sunrise he shows Lily, in every house he builds. Loving me doesn't mean stopping his life. It means living it fully. The dam broke. Ethan covered his face, sobbing openly. People around them cried too. A waitress quietly placed tissues on the table. She said Lily needs to see you happy, Julia went on softly. Not just surviving. Ethan lifted his head, tears streaming. How did she know I'd still be stuck? Because she knew you, Julia said, and because she loved you. They sat there long after the cafe noise returned, Ethan clutching the envelope like it might disappear. Later that night in his driveway, he stared at it again, still unopened. Inside the house, Lily stood in her pajamas, pointing at it. Daddy, she said softly, are you going to read Mommy's letter? Ethan swallowed. When I'm ready. Awam, Lily hesitated, then whispered, I miss her, but I miss you too. His heart shattered. For the first time in 2 years, Ethan realized survival wasn't enough. As he lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling, one thought repeated over and over. Claire hadn't just left him a letter. She had left him a choice. If you were Ethan, would you open the letter and face the pain to start living again? Yes or no? Ethan did not open the letter that night. It sat on his nightstand like a living thing, its edges worn, his name written in Claire's familiar slanted handwriting. He turned away from it and stared at the ceiling until sleep finally took him, thin and restless. The next morning, Lily woke him before his alarm. Daddy, she whispered, climbing onto the bed. Is Mommy's letter magic? He smiled weakly. Why do you think that? Because it made you cry, she said simply. Ethan pulled her close, breathing in the scent of her shampoo, the same brand Claire used to buy. Sometimes words are powerful, he said. Sometimes they help us remember things we forgot. Lily nodded like she understood more than she should. Before school, she paused at the front door and looked back at him. Mommy loved Christmas, she said. I think she'd want lights. After she left, the house felt louder in its silence. Ethan drove to work, but his hands shook on the steering wheel. At the job site, he stared at cabinets without seeing them. When his crew asked a question, he answered late. By noon, he was back in his truck, phone in hand, staring at a name he hadn't planned to call. Julia. He pressed dial before he could change his mind. Hey, she said, surprised. Is everything okay? No, he admitted. I mean, I don't know. Lily said something this morning, and I realized I can't do this alone. There was a pause, then Julia said, Tell me where you are. That evening, Julia pulled into Ethan's driveway in jeans and a sweatshirt, her hair pulled back, looking nothing like the composed nurse from the cafe. Lily opened the door and stared at her suspiciously. Who are you? Lily asked. Julia knelt. I'm Julia. I was Mommy's nurse. I'm here to help your dad with Christmas, if that's okay. Lily's eyes widened. We're decorating. Ethan nodded, fear and hope colliding in his chest. Yeah, kiddo, we are. They drove to the storage unit as dust settled. Lily chattering in the back seat about ornaments she remembered. When Ethan rolled up the metal door and saw boxes labeled in Claire's handwriting, his breath caught. Julia noticed immediately. "We can stop," she said gently. "Anytime." "No," Ethan said. "If I don't do this now, I never will." They opened one box at a time. Glass ornaments wrapped in newspaper, stockings with names stitched by hand, a box labeled Christmas decorations, handled with joy. At home, Lily directed everything like a tiny conductor. The wreath on the door, lights on the porch, the stars saved for last. Claire's old playlist played softly, familiar songs filling spaces that had been hollow for too long. By 9, Lily was asleep on the couch, cheeks flushed, clutching a stuffed reindeer. Ethan covered her with a blanket and returned to the living room, where the tree glowed softly. Julia sat on the floor beside him, exhausted. "You did this," she said. "You took the step." Ethan shook his head. "I couldn't have without you." Silence settled comfortably between them. He pulled the envelope from his pocket. "I think I'm ready," he said, "but I don't want to do it alone." Julia nodded and sat a little closer. Ethan opened the letter with trembling hands. He read silently at first, his face shifting through disbelief, pain, and something softer. Then he began to read out loud. "My love, if you're reading this, it means 2 years have passed and I hope you've started breathing again. I hope Lily still laughs the way she did when she was little. I hope you're still building homes and forgetting to eat lunch." Ethan stopped, wiping his eyes, then continued. "I know you're scared. Scared that loving again means forgetting me. It doesn't. Love grows. It multiplies. I want you to live fully, not in my shadow. I want Lily to see her father happy." Julia covered her mouth, tears spilling freely. "I asked Julia to carry this because I saw her heart. She gives everything to everyone else and forgets herself. Be kind to her. She's carrying more than you know." Ethan looked up, stunned. "She was talking about you." Julia shook her head, overwhelmed. "I never thought—" Ethan finished the letter, his voice breaking on the last line. "Don't waste the life you have left honoring the life we shared. Live, Ethan. That's how you love me." They sat there, the weight of the words settling gently instead of crushing. "I'm terrified," Ethan admitted, "of feeling something again." "Me too," Julia said softly. "I've spent my life being the helper. I don't know how to let someone help me." He met her eyes. "What if we just try? Slowly, no expectations." She smiled through tears. "I'd like that." Months passed carefully. Coffee dates, walks by the lake, dinners where Lily insisted Julia sit next to her. Somewhere between winter and spring, Ethan noticed he laughed without guilt. One afternoon at work, his crew teased him when he answered Julia's call, his face lighting up. "You got it bad, boss," they joked. He didn't deny it. 1 year after the cafe, Ethan asked Julia to meet him there again. She was confused until he knelt in the same corner booth. "You saw me at my worst," he said. "You helped me remember how to live. Will you marry me?" Julia cried before she answered yes. At their small spring wedding, Lily asked Julia quietly, "Are you my mom now?" Julia smiled gently. "You already have a mom. I'm just someone who loves you too." That Christmas, the house was full of light again. Photos of Claire stood beside new memories, not erased, just joined. Sometimes Ethan thought about the night he almost walked out of the cafe. Sometimes being tricked is the thing that saves you. As you watch Ethan slowly choose life again, do you believe it is possible to love deeply after loss without betraying the past? Yes or no? Ethan woke up on Christmas morning to the sound of laughter. For a split second, he thought he was dreaming. For 2 years, Christmas mornings had been quiet, heavy, something to endure rather than celebrate. But this sound was real, bright, alive. He opened his eyes and saw Lily standing at the foot of the bed, bouncing on her toes, her hair a mess, her smile wide in a way he had not seen in a long time. "She's here," Lily whispered loudly, as if whispering made it more exciting. "Julia's already in the kitchen." Ethan sat up slowly, his heart full before his feet even touched the floor. He stepped into the hallway and paused, listening. There was music playing. Claire's old Christmas playlist, the same songs he had avoided for years. Instead of pain, he felt warmth. In the kitchen, Julia stood by the counter, wearing one of Ethan's old sweaters, sleeves pushed up, flour dusting her hands. She looked up and smiled, not the careful smile she used to wear around his grief, but an easy one. "Merry Christmas," she said. Ethan crossed the room and hugged her without thinking. She leaned into him naturally, like she belonged there. Lily wrapped her arms around both of them, squeezing tight. For the first time since Claire passed, Ethan did not feel like he was pretending. They spent the morning opening gifts, Lily narrating every moment. She held up ornaments Claire had once loved and placed them proudly on the tree. There were pictures of Claire on the mantle, smiling, watching over them, not as a shadow but as a presence that felt gentle and approving. Later, while Lily played on the floor, Ethan stepped outside to hang lights he had put off fixing. He bounced on the ladder, struggling, when Julia steadied it from below. "Careful," she said, laughing. "You're still terrible at this." He laughed too, real laughter, and looked down at her. "You know," he said quietly, "I used to think happiness ended the day I lost her." Julia met his gaze. "And now?" "And now I think she led me here," he said, "to this life." That afternoon, they visited Ethan's brother's house for dinner. Family filled the room, noise, warmth. Lily ran ahead, dragging Julia by the hand, proudly introducing her to everyone. "This is Julia," Lily announced. "She helps us be happy." Ethan watched from the doorway, emotion tightening his chest. He remembered something Claire once said when Lily was born, exhausted and glowing. "Love doesn't run out, it expands." After dinner, as snow fell softly outside, Ethan slipped away to the quiet of the living room. He picked up Claire's letter from the drawer where he kept it now, unfolded and worn from rereading. Julia joined him, sitting beside him on the couch. "I still read it," he admitted, "when I feel afraid." "That makes sense," she said. He looked at her. "Do you ever feel guilty?" Julia thought for a moment. "Sometimes, but then I remember she chose this. She trusted us with each other." Ethan nodded. "She saved my life." That night, after Lily fell asleep between them during a movie, Ethan carried her to bed. He stood there longer than necessary, watching her breathe, watching peace settle over her face. In the living room, Julia waited quietly. "I have something for you," Ethan said. He reached into a small box and pulled out a simple ring. Nothing extravagant, honest, thoughtful. "I didn't plan to do this tonight," he said, "but I don't want another day to pass without saying it. I love you, not because you fixed me, but because you walked with me while I fixed myself." Julia's eyes filled with tears. "And I want to keep walking," he continued, "with you, with Lily, with the memory of the woman who made this possible." He knelt, heart pounding, and asked, "Will you marry me?" Julia did not hesitate. "Yes," she said, her voice shaking. 1,000 times yes." They told Lily the next morning. She listened carefully, serious as always, then smiled. "So we're still a family," she said. "Yes," Ethan said, pulling her close. "We always were." The wedding was small. Spring sunlight filtered through trees. Claire's favorite flowers were woven into the ceremony. There was a moment of silence for her, not heavy, but grateful. In his vows, Ethan said what had once felt impossible. "Loving you does not mean loving her less. It means my heart learned how to grow." Julia's voice trembled as she spoke. "I spent my life caring for others and forgetting myself. You taught me that needing love is not weakness." At the reception, Lily danced between them, laughing freely. When she pulled Julia aside and asked if it was okay to call her mom sometimes, Julia knelt and answered honestly, "You already have a mom who loves you forever. I'm just someone else who will never stop showing up." Lily hugged her tightly. "That's perfect." Years later, the house stayed full of light. Christmas decorations came out earlier every year. New traditions grew beside old ones. Claire's photo stayed on the mantle, right where it belonged. Ethan sometimes thought back to the night he almost walked out of the cafe, angry and closed off, convinced his life was already over. If he had left, he would have missed everything. Grief had once taught him how to survive. Love taught him how to live again. And if this story touched your heart, how did it make you feel? And what do you think about choosing love again after loss? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell next to the subscribe button so you never miss our latest videos. Let us know which country you are watching from and share this story with someone who might need to hear it today.